Farm Week is a production of the Mississippi State University Extension Service.
Today on Farm Week, the warm trend continues for the United States. April posts the third warmest average temperature on record.
We'll have a look at the U.S. Senate version of the 2012 Farm Bill. Direct payments are not included.
In Southern gardening, warm colors. You know they catch your eye, and you can use them to focus attention where you want it.
In the markets, expanded trading hours for grain and oilseed futures go into effect as the cattle sector puts in what analysts call a significant low in recent days.
In the feature segment, Eubanks Produce of Lucedale, Mississippi. This family operation takes food safety very seriously. It tracks all its vegetables so problems can be discovered quickly.
We maintain that traceability through our inventory system, and when we ship produce to customers, we are able to identify the particular lots that are sold to customers, so that in the event that there is a food recall on any produce that we have sold, we are able to locate that produce that may have been shipped to other customers and recall that as necessary.
Good day, everyone. I'm Leighton Spann.
And I'm Artis Ford. Welcome to Farm Week.
It wasn't a record, but it came close.
Leighton, March 2012 was the warmest on record across the United States. The latest report from the federal government shows that April wasn't a record, but it wasn't far from it. Mississippi's temperatures were above average as well. Temperatures for the lower 48 states were the third warmest on record for the United States as a whole. The national average temperature was 55 degrees. That's 3.6 degrees above average. When lumped with the first 3 months of the year, U.S. temperatures are the warmest on record for the January through April period. Now here in Mississippi, our average temperatures were the 28th warmest out of the last 118 years of data. Looking at precipitation, Mississippi had the 39th driest year out of the last 118. Interestingly enough, the warm weather in the United States, though, isn't necessarily worldwide. In March, global temperatures were the coolest since 1999, but they were still the 16th warmest since record keeping began in 1880. Now, the federal government also reports that the La Nina is officially over in the Pacific Ocean. Are El Nino conditions ahead in the Pacific? Well, federal forecasters say that half their models predict that El Nino conditions could develop. When that occurs, it usually brings increased rainfall across the southern tier of the U.S.
The U.S. House of Representatives continues its Farm Bill hearings as the time to pass a Farm Bill in 2012 begins to draw short. When the Senate Ag Committee recently passed out its version of the Farm Bill, 4 out of the 5 no votes came from Southern senators. Many Southern farm lawmakers feel the Senate version doesn't treat Southern farmers fairly. Mark Pearson has this summary.
Wholesale changes to the farm safety net highlight the Senate's Agriculture Reform, Food and Jobs Act of 2012. According to Senate Agriculture Committee Chair Debbie Stabenow, the measure will save more than $25 billion over the next 5 years. The legislation eliminates direct payments to farmers, consolidates duplicated conservation programs, and cracks down on food assistance abuse. While direct payments to farmers have been removed, there is a safety net. The Senate version uses a so-called shallow loss program to cover poor yields or low prices while employing crop insurance to handle higher levels of crop damage. The $500 billion measure, of which only 20% will be spent directly on agriculture, passed out of committee on a 16-5 vote. Southern state lawmakers made it the majority of the no votes. Members from Georgia, Mississippi, Arkansas, and Kentucky objected to the commodity title, saying the bill treated crops like cotton, rice, and peanuts unfairly. The bill also establishes eligibility requirements for the farm safety net. Only farmers with an adjusted gross income, or AGI, of $750,000 or lower will be able to take advantage of the program. The American Farm Bureau Federation came out in support of the bill, but raised a few objections. Farm Bureau officials felt the AGI cap was restrictive and lamented the lack of a catastrophic revenue loss program based on county-level losses. Secretary of Agriculture Tom Vilsack said the bill was well-crafted, but expressed concern over crop insurance provisions. House Agriculture Committee Chair Frank Lucas said the Senate measure will have trouble in the House. Lucas stated that because the safety net only protects a limited number of commodities, he will work to make the measure more equitable. The House is still conducting hearings as the amount of time to work on the legislation dwindles. Once both versions of the bill reach conference committee, lawmakers will have a few short months to hammer out the details. The current farm bill expires at the end of September.
Well, color is a great way to attract attention to your yard. In this week's Southern Gardening segment, Extension horticulturist Dr. Gary Bachman shows us how one homeowner uses warm colors to show off her front yard.
Sometimes when the home is set back into the property, it's difficult to draw attention to the landscape, but using warm colors and creative plantings can help make your landscape pop. Today I'm at my friend Catherine's taking a look at her landscape. She has used a multitude of warm colored plants, including bright light Swiss chard, to draw the landscape out. I really like the complementary color combinations of sweet potato, petunia, and new look celosia. The foundation planting of Cleyera provides a solid backdrop for the colorful show in front. The focal point of her front landscape is the lace-leaf Japanese maple, known botanically as Acer palmatum dissectum. This is a special tree and was moved from Atlanta when Catherine moved here. The reddish foliage is displayed on contorted branches and is fine textured and highly decorative. Catherine has created a dramatic combination planting of variegated ivy, salmon Bermuda Beach supertunia, and light green sweet Caroline sweet potato vine. I really like using the purslane as fillers in summer combination containers. Being on the coast can create some unique planting opportunities. I really love the way Catherine is using this canary palm. Pruning the fronds has created shady pockets that are perfect for the bright pastels of impatiens. Using the warm colors of red, orange, and yellow is an effective way to draw the landscape out to the visitor. I'm horticulturist Gary Bachman for Southern Gardening.
Gary says that bright colors always draw attention, so try some color in your landscape. In our feature segment today, Eubanks Produce. This 1,000-acre operation is one of the largest in the state. It's located in the Lucedale, Mississippi area. Time now for the markets with Leighton Spann. Leighton, you say a big change for futures trading is here.
Trading for up to 22 hours a day. We'll have more on that in a moment. Also, since our last program, the first ending stock projections for the 2012-2013 marketing year are released. U.S. exports of short grain rice may grow in the future, as some analysts think the cattle sector may have reached a recovery area. Expanded electronic trading hours for grain futures takes effect Sunday evening, May 13th in Chicago. Trading will now be possible, as I said a moment ago, up to 22 hours per day. It had been 17 hours per day up until this change. Analyst Don Ruse says the big thing for him may be that trading will now be going on when the monthly crop supply and demand reports are released by the USDA.
But I think the big change is going to be the on-the-go trading, right through the reports, right through crop condition reports. And so you're going to have live action all the time and a lot of volatility. But, you know, probably the trade will, you know, like we always do, adjust to it and come out on the other end okay.
Speaking of crop reports, the USDA released its monthly supply-demand figures on Thursday morning, May 10th. Extension Ag economist John Michael Riley joined me in studio just a few hours after the release to discuss the market picture that the new numbers give us for corn and soybeans. John and Michael, analysts were looking for tighter stocks, I believe, of old crop corn. Were they surprised or not?
They were surprised. The actual ending stock number came in not just above the average expectations, but above the highest expectation. 851 million bushels corn carryover from last year to this year. They were looking for that number to be closer to 758 million. So a bit of a shock there on old crop. New crop, not too much different. The carryover from this past year to this coming year pushed those ending stocks up more than expected, and so a big surprise, larger quantities all the way around for corn.
All right, what about the soybean picture? Surprises there?
Not as big a surprise, but actually in the opposite direction, a little tighter than expected. Those numbers, old crop 210 million bushels carried over. They were looking for that to be 221 million, so a little tighter than expected. Same thing for the new crop. This is the first month we're getting these expectations on 2012's crops. So all of that, no priors to that.
All right, we're less than 4 or 5 hours out from the report. Any idea here how the market has reacted so far?
Mark is reacting very much in line with what the report came out. Corn, these current corn contracts down about 6 cents a bushel. If you go to the old crop or the December 2012 corn contract, down about 10 cents a bushel. Soybeans kind of the other picture. Old crop soybean contracts up about 20 cents, new crop contracts up about 25 cents. So the reaction is mostly in line with what we should expect.
As far as the livestock sector, who obviously uses corn as far as feeding, what will this mean for them?
Well, I think that's what really happened. If we look at look into those corn numbers, we've seen a big shift from corn feeding to wheat feeding, and that's why we are looking at larger stocks than most people expect, is because there was a big shift away from corn and into wheat.
Turning to cotton now, DTN is reporting higher U.S. ending stocks are expected for 2012-2013. Bearish USDA supply-demand estimates have long been anticipated, and despite planted area reductions in many countries, including China, India, and the United States, cotton production in 12-13 is still generally expected to exceed mill use. USA Rice Federation staff and members traveling in Japan this week report growing interest there in importing U.S. short grain rice. Last year's tsunami and the associated nuclear event there resulted in roughly 50,000 metric tons of rice being contaminated by radiation. In addition, about 4% of Japan's annual rice production cannot be grown now due to the continuing contamination in one region of the country. The USDA is already estimating that short grain rice production in California alone will increase 16% this year in anticipation of additional exports. Our trivia quiz will transition us into the livestock side of the markets this week. And here is our question. How much of the world's egg supply is produced by the United States? Your choices are 10%, 20%, 30%, and up to 50%. We'll have that answer coming up.
We're going to pause for a short break on Farm Week. Coming up, we'll look at the calendar and the second part of the markets. Leighton Span reports hundreds of people are permanently out of work due to the pink slime media controversy. In the feature segment today, Eubanks Produce. This family operation takes food safety seriously. It tracks all its vegetable production.
I've got a lot of choices to make in the coming years, and I really want to make sure that I get it all right. I want to discover who I am, where I belong, what my dreams are. I want to find my hidden talents and see where those skills can take me in the future. I need leadership given today to help me make the right decisions tomorrow. And I have that with Mississippi 4-H.
Before we get back to the markets, let's look at the Farm Week calendar. Louisiana and Mississippi livestock producers are encouraged to participate in a Saturday field day, May 19th. The Mississippi-Louisiana Beef and Forage Field Day will start at the Livestock Producers Sale Barn on Highway 98 East at Tylertown, Mississippi. There's no registration fee for this field day. Lunch will be served. Gets underway at 8:45 a.m. Topics will include herbicide use, clover production, heifer development, and selecting bulls using EPDs. Participants will visit a 2-year-old demonstration plot where 17 alfalfa varieties will be on display. Producers with smut grass problems will be able to see plots where various herbicide control strategies are being studied. Some of the bulls from the South Mississippi Gain on Forage Bull Test will also be on display. You're asked to pre-register as soon as possible. We'll have those phone numbers and an email address on our Farm Week website. Go to our Farm Week website at farmweek.msucares.com for information on these and other events. Now check out this week's Farm Week Snapshot.
The continuing economic impact of the recent media attention on lean, finely textured beef is becoming more defined. Beef Products Incorporated, the primary manufacturer of this product, said this week it is closing 3 plants in the U.S. permanently at the end of this month. BPI cited decreased demand for its products as the main reason for the closings. The company says that 650 people will lose their jobs as a result of the shutdowns. One plant in Nebraska processing the lean, finely textured beef will remain open, but at a reduced capacity. On a more positive note for the beef sector this week, analyst Don Roos thinks this market has reached a pivotal point in recent days. He admits the funds did get spooked by all the recent negative events involving cattle.
You got hit with the lean beef issue, then you got hit with BSE, but the market really was pretty strong, Mark. I mean, it went through those and, it took the hit, and now we've recovered. We think we put in a significant low in the cattle, probably an intermediate low, and the cash market this week, still showed us that we're running a big premium to the futures. So we think the downside there is probably limited. Third and fourth quarters turn pretty bullish.
Just before the feature story, here's the answer to the trivia quiz. It is A this week. The U.S. produces 10% of the world's egg supply, and by the way, May is National Egg Month.
In today's feature story segment, Farm Week's Amy Taylor reports on a family-owned business that started as a 200-acre farm more than a century ago. Located in Lucedale, Mississippi, Eubanks Produce now manages more than 1,000 acres of hand-picked fruits and vegetables. The fresh produce is shipped around the country and it's sold to mega wholesale chains. Part of the farm is devoted to a U-pick operation during the summer. Owner and operator Alan Eubanks says the mission of the farm is to provide safe, economical produce in a manner that honors the family's farming heritage. This story first aired on Farm Week last fall.
If you get the chance to visit Eubanks Produce in South Mississippi, you can't help but be amazed by the story of a small farm that grew big in business. Alan Eubanks says he started the operation on acreage where Pat Eubanks planted row crops 2 generations ago. Today, he says the farming tradition lives on.
My dad, he was the one that got me started in the row cropping, and helped out with the watermelons, and he helped out with all the vegetables early on. And he runs a U-pick now. He's in charge of the U-pick, Charlie's U-pick. And my wife does all the office management, does all the bookkeeping and everything. And the kids all work at the U-pick during the summertime, so it's a real good training ground for them. Everything is hand-picked. We're very labor intensive here, so that is a big component of our overall success of the farm, I guess. Anywhere from planting to harvesting to putting down the stakes.
In addition to family effort on the farm, about 10 full-time workers and 250 seasonal workers have jobs on the farm, from planting to packaging to shipping. As with any business, seeking the right educational tools greatly influence the success of Eubanks Produce. Mississippi State University Extension Service vegetable specialist David Nagel says Eubanks made good use of his education after graduating from MSU in 1992.
Alan Eubanks was a student in one of my first vegetable production classes about 20 years ago, and even then he knew he wanted to grow vegetables for a living. When Alan graduated, he went back home and joined the family business. We had several extension meetings with him. We took Alan to Michigan, we took him to Florida, we took him to California, we took him to Texas, so he could see how the big boys did it.
Nagel says learning from other operations is one of the most effective ways to develop a business. Eubanks says deciding what to grow on the farm depends on market demand.
A lot of it's market driven. You know, we started out just developing local markets, and then we expanded into more retail markets.
Eubanks says he started slowly, planting a couple of acres of tomatoes and peppers, then expanded to harvesting and selling a larger variety of produce. Today, the long list includes bell peppers, cabbage, cantaloupe, cucumbers, eggplant, snap beans, strawberries, sweet corn, sweet onions, tomatoes, watermelon, zucchini, and broccoli. Produce is mainly sold in the southern region of the U.S. and a few locations in the north. Additionally, Eubanks' father, Charlie Eubanks, runs the 100-acre U-Pick operation, which is open for 6 weeks every summer. Alan explains how Charlie's U-Pick operates.
Bring your own bucket, 5-gallon bucket, and this year we were at $9 a bucket. People come pick whatever they want, mix and match. And it's a lot of families come out. Biggest crowd, I think we had about 2,000 cars come through the first opening day last year.
In addition, customers can also purchase pre-picked fruits and vegetables during the U-Pick season. David Nagel says the farm's diversity has been key to its success.
One thing the Eubanks have always done, even before Alan really got into the business, is they were diverse. They would grow several things. Alan produces pretty much all through the year and has crops coming off of about 10.5 months out of the year, so that it's not all resting on one period of time.
Nagel says it is possible to be successful at only growing one crop as long as the farmer's whole income does not depend on that one crop. In addition to variety on the farm, Nagel says it's crucial to learn what people want in both local and large-scale markets.
If you're going to grow vegetables and sell them locally, you have to be very aware of what local people want. Alan is beyond that size. Alan is selling on a regional, if not national basis, and he deals with the buyers from grocery stores who literally tell him what they want. Alan is one who goes out and finds somebody who wants to buy something, and then he grows it for them rather than growing it and then trying to sell it to somebody.
Another essential part of the business plan for Eubanks Produce Farms is using the internet. Janice Eubanks says Facebook is a great way to reach customers.
We use Facebook on our farm to connect with our visitors to our U-Pick operation. We're able to post pictures as the crop grows to get them excited about coming to our farm.
In addition to Facebook, Janice says using a website is a necessity for getting information to customers, such as produce lists, harvesting seasons, and contact information. Janice also says a high priority for Eubanks Produce is to be able to trace produce after it's been shipped.
We maintain that traceability through our inventory system, and when we ship produce to customers, we are able to identify the particular lots that are sold to customers, so that in the event that there is a food recall on any produce that we have sold, we are able to locate that produce that may have been shipped to other customers and recall that as necessary.
Along with providing safe produce for customers, the Eubanks believe in maintaining a safe environment for workers. Employees are educated about operating equipment properly, and work conditions are kept clean and safe. Additionally, Janice says environmental conservation is practiced in packaging the produce.
We can pack our produce in recycled plastic crates. We get those from the vendor, pack the produce after it's been washed, and ship that. It goes directly to the store shelves. The store does not have to put any labor into repacking into other containers.
Janice says this method cuts down on the amount of cardboard needed for packing. Another conservation practice is the use of underground drip irrigation systems to avoid wasting water through runoff. Alan says developing a thriving operation has been a fulfilling experience. However, he says it does come with challenges.
Probably primarily labor issues. There's more and more regulation on labor and just government regulation and across the board on everything. Seems to be a more challenge, bigger challenge these days. Costs us more and more every year.
However, Alan says he and his family are blessed for being successful at operating a business based on strong ethics, integrity, and learning from others.
A lot of bumps in the road, a lot of learning curve there, a big learning curve there. It was very challenging, but yeah, we're proud of where we are for sure.
As Eubanks Produce Farms reaches its 20th year in operation, it remains a good example of how a small farm can grow big in business. From Lucedale, Mississippi, I'm Amy Taylor reporting.
And you can watch this story on Eubanks Produce again on our Farmweek website, our Facebook page, or YouTube. The website address, farmweek.msucares.com. We'll also have a link to the Eubanks Produce website as well. And Amy's been in touch with the Eubanks down there, Layton, and their U-Pick will be starting up here shortly. Will run until about July 1st. One of the things to remember about them is they don't grow it until they have a buyer. So they have a buyer ahead of time. They don't just grow it and then hope they can sell it.
Not gambling there.
That is a big key for their operation. Well, we are at the end of Farm Week for this week. On our next show, we'll take you to a going out of business sale to beat all others.
Ballsters of Scotch Grove, Iowa sold out last fall after 137 years. This farm and implement company started in the 1800s and had the inventory to prove it.
In Southern Gardening, see how to make your landscape pretty for more than one season. There are multi-season plants that contribute with color and foliage. If you'd like further information on Farm Week Story or would like to suggest one to us, get in touch. You can also find us on Facebook and YouTube. Our mailing address is Box 9625, Mississippi State, Mississippi 39762. That's Box 9625, Mississippi State, Mississippi 39762. You can also contact us through your county office of the Mississippi State University Extension Service. For the rest of the Farm Week crew, I'm Artis Ford.
And I'm Leighton Spann. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next week.